Welcome back to WrestleSpective, the most niche channel in all of wrestling YouTube. Typically, we put wrestling in perspective with retrospectives, but this is going to be our first film review. Today we're going to look at a film that's part Lucha Underground, part Borderlands, some Mortal Kombat Annihilation thrown in, but it's all fun. This is Kill City Cup, America's most badass tournament. When I first discovered Kill City Cup, I didn't know what to expect. Then I saw the cast and my interest really piqued. Then I watched it. And oh man, is this movie something wild, so here I am sharing it with you. Kill City Cup is a 2023 indie wrestling combat comedy written by Paul Glantz and directed by first-time director Luke Robert. It's an idea Luke had for about a decade, but WWE kept scooping up talent that were supposed to be involved. But finally, everything aligned. It was filmed in Pinellas Park, Florida, made on a budget of around 20 grand with a cast of wrestlers that have been featured in WWE, AEW, Impact, ROH, and of course, the Independents. In the film, these wrestlers take on new personas to inhabit the dystopian world of Kill City, controlled by the evil Kill Corp. With all that squared away, let's get into the movie. The film starts with a bit of exposition coming from the lead bad guy, Mr. Kill, who's played by Brian Cars, explaining some of how we got here and the purpose of the tournament. The winner will have one request granted from Mr. Kill, the head of Kill Corp. And he's always joined by Queen Gia at his side. And does she have powers? She looks like she should have powers. Kill Corp rose to prominence after the Great War of 2035, a battle over depleted natural resources which saw countries fighting over what little reserves were left. Humanity was on the brink of eliminating themselves when a great visionary, Mr. Kill, came up with a miracle energy source, green electricity. This allowed Kill Corp to become the most powerful corporation on the planet. Mr. Kill devised the tournament as modern-day gladiator battles from ancient Rome, all fighting to appease the masses and the Emperor. And thankfully, during the entrances for the combatants throughout the film, we get Mr. Kill providing brief bios of the characters. So let's meet these gladiators. Maxwell Chicago, a B-movie star looking to use the tournament to get back to superstardom, should he survive. Russian Crush, played by Natalia Markova. Formerly a part of an elite assassin force, she's fighting for her freedom. And thanks to a deal with Mr. Kill, that's on the table, if she wins. Mason X, locked up in an asylum by Mr. Kill, released only for this tournament. His reward for victory? A license to kill. Neo Shaman, played by Matt Seidel. He wants to bring peace to Kill City, which obviously Kill Corp cannot allow. Bones. He's just here to consume the souls of the other competitors. And Mr. Kill thinks that's a great idea. Dr. Mercury, played by David Mercury. He doesn't really get much of a hype job from Mr. Kill aside from him maybe being a bad doctor. But he does have this really cool mask. Hecate's Hangman, played by Jimmy Jacobs. He's a violent street kid that has led uprisings against Kill Corp. He came to an agreement with Mr. Kill to terminate his enemies, and if he's successful, Mr. Kill will clear his record. Zip Monk, played by Connor Murphy. He was abandoned as a child and raised by monks until one of Mr. Kill's death squads wiped out the monastery. Now he's looking for revenge. And also at some point he turned himself inside out, hence the zipper. Leon of the Wasteland, played by Leon the Terrible. He was a top asset of destruction for Mr. Kill during the Great War, and now he's in the tournament to continue his warpath. And finally, The Machine, played by, of course, Brian Cage. The Machine is half man, half machine, created by Leon at the request of Mr. Kill. The Machine is supposed to be their ace in the hole, the guaranteed victor of the tournament. Will all go according to plan? After the opening credits, we're introduced to the Master of Ceremonies, the Ringmaster, played by the late Rye Mullis. He does a great job in this role. He really sets the mood and the tone for each character during these introductions. And it's time to start round 1. First fight up is Maxwell Chicago versus the Master of the Third Eye, Neo Shaman, versus Hectus Hangman. Throughout the fights, we get Mr. Kill's additional commentary giving us his thoughts on the fights and the fighters. For instance, he hates B-movies.
He's a B-movie star? Come on! I hate B-movies.
It's hilarious. I just want to take a second to mention and appreciate Brian Carr's acting here. He's really hamming it up, and I think it's great. He's made a career of B-movies, so he knows exactly what he's doing. It's perfect.
When I promise you freaks and carnage, you get freaks and carnage!
Also, I love Seidel's little tiger helmet deal. It's so silly given the rest of the fighters we meet later, but makes sense for his character. They have a pretty decent three-way fight. Hecates runs around with a spike, as Jimmy Jacobs is known to do. Neo gets one of his awesome head kicks that we get in slow-mo, and we also see this fantastic crab walk cell from Chicago. It's incredible. Shaman takes a few shots to the forehead from Hecates, and the commentator says that he's been third eye blinded. Great line. Mr. Kill gives us his thoughts on Hecate's Hangman.
Mop the floor with that crack, baby.
After a spike to the forehead, Hangman gets the win, and then he even reenacts the Age of the Fall debut, which got a huge pop from me. First fight was a lot of fun. Second matchup sees Russian Crush versus Zip Monk versus Dr. Mercury. And that trio took me way too long to say correctly. We get right into the seriously over-the-top action in this one as Zip Monk has crucifix powers. It doesn't work, and Russian Crush melts the crucifix. We also get the classic Deathlock suplex spot, which is one of my favorites. Well done, Doc Mercury. But Russian Crush gets the win with Red Mist. That was the most Mortal Kombat-esque fight we've had so far. The finish was very reminiscent of Reptile from MK1. The whole thing was so ridiculous and over the top, I absolutely loved it. Fight the third has Mason X versus Bones versus Leon of the Wasteland. This no doubt is visually some of the coolest looking guys in the film. I've never seen Mason X before, but he looks like something out of the Toxic Avengers cartoon, but way more badass. I'm into it. Bones is like if WWE went way over the top with Bray Wyatt. Again, I'm really into it. But Leon of the Wasteland is the baddest of the three. He's even more monstrous looking with his cronies Bandit and Bounty of the Wasteland. And Bounty here is played by April Hunter? Holy crap, what a great cast. The three have a scrap, there's a table spot that's immediately followed up with Bones throwing fire right into Leon's face. Amazing. Then Bonesy takes Mason X's soul, rips it right out of his body. Again, amazing. But it's not enough to overcome Leon, and he moves on to the next round. The next fight pits the Machine against a string of oddball jobbers. I really like the prosthetic that they have on the Machine. It really does feel like he's just got a chunk of flesh ripped off of his face. It looks awesome. The jobbers try their best, but Mr. Get My Shit In gets his shit in. Machine moves on to the next round. And that's the end of round 1, which gives me a chance to talk about the set. I love it. It looks really cool. It's like the Disney MGM era of WCW Saturday Night, but after an atomic blast. Very cool. Now, I don't want to spoil the whole rest of the film. You should definitely check it out, but the semifinals are the Machine battling Hectus Hangman and Russian Crush versus Leon of the Wasteland. I will hint, though, that we discover there's a double cross, there's an unlikely hero who emerges, there's some more very cool visual effects, and they set up a sequel.
You know what this means, don't you?
What?
We'll have to do another competition.
That's right.
Kill City Cup is a really entertaining B-movie that doesn't take itself too seriously. The acting is over the top, the effects aren't that janky. I think we've all seen worse visual effects. The CGI blood splatter on the screen and green screen crowd outside is a little goofy, but it really adds to the charm of the film. It reminds me of the kind of movie me and my friends would make. And that's because that's pretty much what this is. Luke Robert and everyone else involved in the production just enlisted their friends and friends of friends throughout wrestling to make this thing happen. Clearly they were having fun with it, so we as the viewer have a good time watching it. It's not some brilliant, mind-blowing film, but if you enjoy a low-budget movie with a ridiculous cast of characters and over-the-top action, this might be the thing for you. And it's an hour long and it's free on YouTube, like what else could you ask for really? I had a great time watching it, I had a lot of fun putting this review together, and I hope you'll check it out. There's a link to the film in the description of this video. And if you do decide to check out Kill City Cup, be sure to stick around for the post-credit scene. I'd like to thank the director Luke Robert for all his help putting this review together. He was nice enough to answer some behind-the-scenes questions I had, and even passed along these making-of pictures as well. I'm looking forward to doing more wrestling-centric film reviews, so keep an eye out for those. And also in the meantime, we'll have more defunct championship wrestling, more retrospectives, and everything else you've come to expect from this channel. I'm Scott from WrestleSpective. Thanks for watching.